All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the August edition of the Global Chamber AI Globinar series. I'm Jacob Dietz, founder and CEO of Kalimo Collective and a connector at heart, first and foremost. How I use AI is really to weave together people, ideas, and global ecosystems. And as usual, it's great to see everyone. We're always grateful for your presence and participation.
Hello, my name is Yuka Nakasone. I'm the Executive Director of Global Chamber Madrid, Barcelona, Valencia, Malaga, which is in Spain. I'm Japanese based in Spain, and I usually guide companies through the journey of global expansion and blending culture, languages, and technologies. Um, Jacob and I are thrilled to be your co-host today because this is the heart of Global Chamber. We are talking about how we can, um, let's say, use AI for global trade, right? And for those who don't know, the Global Chamber, we are a purpose-driven business network active in over 525 cities. I think this is a little old record. I heard something like 602 last week. Our mission is to simplify global business and amplify impact by creating daily connections between CEOs, investors, leaders all over the world.
Exactly. And yeah, so I guess we're well over 525 cities. That's awesome. And what makes this community so powerful isn't just that global reach. It's like what I said earlier before we started the recording. It's really about the relationships. It's a place where professionals are leaning into transformation, asking real questions about how to grow and lead more effectively in a changing world. In past sessions, we've talked about the human side of AI, really how it can enhance your life, and how it can be a co-pilot for our lives. And today we're taking that concept and applying it to a challenge many of you are facing.
That's right. For so many of the companies I work with, international expansion feels like a massive undertaking, full of complicated logistics, shifting policies, right? Nothing is written on the stone, and a real lack of clear roadmap. Now, even more so than ever. We know the destination, but the journey to get there can feel very overwhelming for small and medium-sized businesses, even more. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And I love Jim's comment in the chat is that change is not an option. And so, but these back to these small, medium-sized businesses, they all have incredible products and services, but it can be a real struggle to break through. It's super competitive time, and for not for a lack of quality, but for a lack of market intelligence and know-how. It's a fundamental gap in global business, and it's a gap that AI is uniquely positioned to fill.
So that's why today's guest and her company, Gipa, and her product Copilot is such a natural fit for the series. And today we are talking about a challenge I see firsthand with many of the SMEs I work with, navigating the complexity of international expansion. And they have incredible products but a lack of know-how and market intelligence can make a great idea fail on a global scale, really. And that brings us to incredible guest today. Someone I'm so honored to call a colleague and a neighbor because she's based in Barcelona. She's from Mexico and went through the United States, and now she's living in Barcelona, Spain, where I'm based. I'm absolutely pleased to introduce Lourdes Cuevas, the founder and CEO of GitUp. with a co-pilot. Lourdes is a true visionary who has spent decades working in international expansion across Latin America and the United States and Europe. And she saw firsthand how so many brilliant SMEs were getting left behind, and she decided to democratize the entire process. Her work is a statement of what's possible when hands-on experience meets cutting-edge technology. And she's here to show us how we can turn complexity into a clear, actionable plan. Lourdes, thank you for coming today and be presenting your co-pilot. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Duca. So happy to be here and to share all the, well, everything that we have gone through, because I find it super interesting. Thank you, Jacob. Thank you, all of you, because it's great to be here sharing. So yes, I'm Lourdes Cuevas. As Duca mentioned, I'm Mexican. I born in Mexico. I don't remember how many years ago, but I have already more than 25 years doing international expansion. First working for Mexican companies, consumer products companies in Mexico. And after working in Mexico, then I started working for a company based in New York, a company for wet wipes, so more consumer companies, consumer products. And afterwards, this company decided to open the European market. So I moved here because actually my parents are from Spain, so I have the citizenship, and it was very easy. I wanted to also come here to Spain to have like a new challenge. And I started here about 10 years ago. And it was the time when all this Brexit thing and all this, well, kind of complicated things started to happen. So the company in the US decided to stop the expansion. Also, the internal market in the US was growing like super a lot at that time. So they decided to focus into America, and I decided to stay. So at that time, I started a consulting company helping SMEs to go into other markets with the expertise of the Latin American market, the US and Canada market, and the European market. And that's what I started doing with WhipUp for some years until the COVID crashed. So when the COVID crashed, and I'm pretty sure that I shared this experience with most of you, everything went like crazy. So we had great companies that were doing super well, and we had companies that were literally broken in a couple of months, and everything was up and down, and there were so many, it was so uncertain at that time. And we didn't know actually what was next, but at that time we thought it was really, really bad. So we decided that it takes so much time for SMEs to convert an international opportunity, and it's so complicated for them, and they need to pay so much money for that, that definitely technology would need to help in a certain way, or to make it a little easier, because that's what technology do. It makes a little easier. So at that time, we were clueless about in which way we were going to do it. So what we decided it was that we were going to make a closed circuit about all the information that we were exchanging and all the business cases that we were having with real companies from Latin America, from North America, and from Europe. So from that moment, we decided, then it came the war in Ukraine, and well, so many things that we know very well that has happened in the last years. So we decided to start making some, or checking the patterns and the processes and everything, because you know that international expansion is definitely a very complex process. And there are so many different people involved or companies involved in this process. So we decided to put all the processes and patterns, and define the patterns, and define the pain points, and define what was exactly the reason why so many companies try to do it and they are not successful, or they quit, or sometimes they make some exports, but at the end they just quit because it's really complicated. And after starting this research, we defined that the worst problem along the way was because of lacking of market intelligence. And what is market intelligence? So market intelligence is get to know the know-how and know-who of the destination market. So, for example, here in Europe, and this is very funny because it is actually a real case. We have a company that we work with, and they are developing a toothpaste for the US. And it took more than a year to understand that the flavors in the US are super sweet and the flavors in Europe are super strong. And now it sounds like super easy, and it's like, we were not able to explain exactly what they wanted. And the people in Europe were like, what is going on? Like, this is just perfect. We have tried with customers, we have tried with stakeholders, we have tried with everybody, and it's perfect. And at the end, this is something that we know because of this specific case, that now it's being super helpful because they are already developing the fourth or fifth SKU for the same retailer. So this is what when I talk about market intelligence, these are the very tiny little details that are super important. Or for example, or maybe, can I share my screen? Okay.
Yes, of course.
So I'm going to show you very quick an example, because it's always better with an example. Let me show. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Wait a second. Okay. So this, for example, is another customer that we have, and these guys are from the UK, and they develop an amazing product, diapers, wet wipes, products for babies. And actually, they are doing like a revolution in the UK. And the buyer from Walmart found them and said like, wow, this is really cool. So she approached them and said like, hey, can you please quote me the product? So as soon as they received this, obviously they were super happy about it. But there are so many regulations, labeling, quoting, supply chain, business partners, deliveries, retail platforms, demand planning, like they are clueless about how to start doing it. So it's like a super happy problem. And that is exactly what we do. We help them with this market intelligence, with real data that we have gathered from real cases. We help them to go from their facilities to the shelf at the destination point. And what we have done is we have divided the platform in, obviously we're using AI. Actually, I have to say that at the beginning, we started doing some digital tools. The digital tools are super useful, but it was very complicated for the user because at the end, you need an expert to use these digital tools, which are useful. But it was until the AI crashed into our lives that we could put together everything, and the agent is the one that is performing all these activities, and the delivery for the user, it's very soft or easy to handle. So we divided our platform in 3 different agents. The first one is the expert expert. And this expert is going to help you with all the processes that you need to know. So at the beginning, when you are just starting, you need to know about regulations, you need to know about certificates of origin, about Incoterms, about tariffs that now are super trendy, about all these many things. Or you need to know exactly where to get this information, or where the specific or the help from governments, or you need to know all this information. So this is the expert, and is going to help you with that. The palettes are different in Europe and in the US. If your customer is asking for a chap palette, then you need a specific program. So all this information is there for you. But then we go to the retail expert. By the way, something that I haven't said at this point is that we're focused in consumer products. At this point, we're focused in consumer products because this is very challenging. There is a lot of information behind this. There is a lot of coding behind this. So we definitely want to target something and do it super well. And then maybe we can go into other industries. So at this point, we're doing it with fast-moving consumer goods. So this is Sam, that is the AI retail expert. And Sam is here to tell you, for example, if you have a possible project or with Sprouts. Sprouts has a list of banned ingredients for their stores. So he's going to tell you which are these ingredients. Example, Sprouts also has a very specific way of delivering the samples. And Sprouts uses an intermediate distributor that it's called Kehi. So all this information that you need to know, and it's super important in order for you to quote and do it okay, because it's really complicated to quote when you don't know how the market works. This agent is prepared to do it. This agent also helps you with benchmarking, the benchmarking of your product. So it's not the same, your product when it's on the shelf than your product when it's on your facility. So you need to calculate all the supply chain, but how do you know what you don't know? So you really don't know what are the margins for the different retailers. You really don't know which ones you need to consider as markups and which ones you need to consider as margins. What if you need to have a transportation, certain type of transportation, et cetera, et cetera. So this agent is going to help you comparing your products apples to apples. Your product in your facility, let's say in Italy, and your product on the shelf of Walmart. So this is extremely useful for you to understand if you are competitive and for you to choose the right channel. So, for example, we have detected that, or we're working with 4 channels, and one might be a cooperative. There are so many cooperatives, and this is a very common model in the US and in Canada and Mexico. By the way, something else that I haven't mentioned before, we are focusing at this point in the markets of Canada, Mexico, because they are very similar. The way to handle these markets is quite similar. And the amount of people considering these 3 countries is huge. So we really think that there are so many opportunities. Actually, this morning, I was just listening to someone saying that in Mexico, the largest population is between 5 years old and 30 years old. So this is definitely people that is going to be potential consumers. That is exactly what you want to target. And obviously the US is a potential market, a huge potential market for consumption. And Canada also now, they offer really, really good opportunities to go there. So this is a specific about the retail. Also, when you have your product on the shelf, there are new different channels because we know that the American retailers, they focus more on the balance of their inventories than actually the price of the product. So if you have the correct balance in the inventories, it helps you out to be very, very successful with the retail. So this is going to help you also. It's going to be linked to the platform of the different retailers. In this case, with Walmart, for example, it's retailing. So you can verify the sell-in, the sell-out, and you will have the red lights in order to make decisions and have inventories balanced. And last not least, the AI network expert, that is the one that is going to provide you with the very useful contacts that you need. So we know that you can get the contact of the buyer, and maybe it's not going to be that difficult. But when you start selling your product, you definitely need the replenishment manager contact, because that is going to be your very best friend in the future. So this is what Max do. She is the one that is helping you with the right context, or if you need a potential partner, distribution partner, the 3PL, regulatory partner, someone that is going to help you to get the FDA, whatever you need is going to be provided by Max. Well, this is my super team. Many women, as you can see. And as I was mentioned, this is the way we made all this research. We took it super seriously. We analyzed more than 640 real business cases. And from those 643 business cases, we got the information that now is proprietary data, and that now is what is helping us to code everything. So this is very brief explanation, but I think it's more clear about what is the solution and how we got here. I don't know if you have any question so far.
Yes, anybody?
Oh, go ahead.
No. I was just going to ask if there are anybody that has questions. Just come off mic.
I want to totally acknowledge you, Lourdes, for the incredible work you've done, because international business could be 24 volumes of 1,000 pages each. This is what I found out, and I think the tools you have are absolutely can be very useful to small business, medium business, or even large business. Now, let me tell you a little bit my experience.
Please.
One of the biggest challenges you have in the US is when you are a foreign company. You look at the US and you say, the US is a big market, 350 million people, et cetera, et cetera. Well, if people look at the US that way, they already failed before they start. Because the US has got 7 to 8 different cultures. Each culture acts differently and requires different solutions. So when you're looking at branding, if you brand, for example, the restaurant, Cuban restaurant in Florida, and you try to move that to Los Angeles in California, your failure rate may be about 92%. So the issue of, so that's one element, is the US. And the second one is the foreign client. The Italian looks for sales. The Israeli looks at cost. The German looks at organization. The British dreams a lot and doesn't often get to the market. Our biggest challenge in leading foreign clients to success, and we've done about maybe 1,000 clients, 1,100 clients in 50 years, has been the retraining of the foreign client in getting adjusted to the US culture. That being the case, how would your AI look at that? Or maybe you have a new AI that looks at international cultures.
No, actually, I do appreciate a lot your question, because I think that the human factor is going to be with us for the rest of humanity. So I'm pretty sure that there is what we're trying to tackle, or what we're tackling is are these standard activities and standard get to know options. But for companies like yours, maybe you spend a lot of time doing very simple activities, or helping with not very interesting things. But now that when you're saying, okay, you want to launch a product and you're super successful because you sell it to a Cuban restaurant and you want to sell it to, I don't know, maybe on the other side to the West Coast, and it's not going to happen. That is exactly the moment when people need people, because people need your experience, because there is no way to train at this point any AI with your experience. Like having 1,100 cases in your mind, it's definitely not something that the AI can handle. So in my perspective, AI is going to handle, it's going to help, it's going to make us super productive. But at the end, everything at the end is going to be with people. it's going to be about interesting, smart people taking advantage of AI and not getting struggled with AI.
That's so true, Lourdes. And the other thing, for example, let me give you two small examples because I think it will move the conversation altogether. At a very tactical application, one of the things that surprise foreign clients, let's say you have a product for a supermarket, yes, or a grocery store. One of the things that foreign companies do not really know or understand is the fact there is a thing called slotting fee. Every time you want to put your product on the shelf of a grocery, let's say Staples, Ralph, or whatever, you have to pay a rent for your shelf, and you pay a rent for the position. So that's one thing that is, and the other one is EDI. Many companies use EDI for ordering. The EDI is a computerized system whereby if you don't fulfill your order within 24 to 48 hours, you lose the client. So all those elements of the application are so important in the US market. And I know that you started tremendously well with what you have created. And I'm sure is a continuous development. And I'm sure you will incorporate all those other elements. But I see, as I said before when we spoke briefly, be in touch with me because I think you've done something that is awesome. And thank you.
Actually, just want to mention something about the slotting fees. And actually, the slotting fees are different for each retailer. And there are retailers that you might be able to negotiate this slotting fees, and there are others that there is no way out. So that is the kind of information, the market intelligence that we provide. So we can tell you, okay, there are these Hispanic retail stores where you have slotting fees at the beginning in the instructions, but you can definitely negotiate them. So this is what the agent is going to provide you. And also for EDI, that I do agree with you, there is no other way to receive a purchase order but through EDI. But there are different suppliers, super inexpensive suppliers, I don't know, $50 a month or something, that might provide you this, and that they can get the EDI and they can send it to you by email. So for international companies, that is super convenient. So yeah, this is a kind of market intelligence that we're tackling.
And finally, the last question, then I'll keep my mouth shut for the rest of the minute, is the American people think that America is the world of freedom. It is not true in the field of commercial business. One of the biggest concern of the government agencies, is the risk and protection of the consumer. So you got the EPA, you got the FDA, you got ASHRAE, you got the ASTM, you got all these standards, which are sometimes very complicated to understand and virtually impossible to follow through and very costly. What does your system do or inform you in that area?
Well, actually, we don't go super deep, but we definitely give you a reference. So, for example, if you are trying to sell wines in the US, you need an EPA registration, and you need an EPA registration, and you need a specific distributor state by state. So at the beginning, you need to understand that before you start going to shows or sending samples or trying to quote to other retailers. So this is the kind of information. Maybe we don't go super deep into the EPA registration because we actually ask our users to go directly, or we contact them with a consultant to help them on that. But definitely some guidance about what to expect about it.
Thank you so much.
Thanks to you.
Super valuable dialogue. Thank you, Professor Ancis. Lourdes, I'll toss it back to you.
Okay, so well, actually, in the next part of this webinar, I would really like to have this open conversation and to understand actually what is happening also with some other companies and what are the needs they are facing now trying to go international. I know also because many of our customers are super nervous about tariffs. So we can see that there's a lot going on in tariffs, and we are 100% sure that the strategy in the future is going to be as well. You all remember the 2008 with all this crash on the markets and everything. And at that point is what became very trendy to diversify. So you could reduce the risk. So that's what we're seeing right now with the buyers. Buyers are trying to diversify into different markets. So they are not allocating the volume to just one supplier. They are allocating the volume into so many different suppliers in different countries and finding the way to survive all this super chaos. And as soon as we can redefine the global trade again. So that is something I would like to discuss with you, because that is something that I can see, and I'm pretty sure about that, but I would love to have your insights about it.
So from what I understood from your statement, you're saying that because of the chaotic situations, maybe the suppliers in foreign countries, like in Europe, have more opportunities now in the States or in North America. This is what you're saying.
Absolutely, absolutely. I remember about 15 years ago, to get an appointment with Walmart or Target or one of the big ones, it was so complicated. And at this point, they are reaching out for new suppliers. So Walmart is spending a lot of money in doing different summits all around the world to find all these new suppliers. We know that they really have a very good call for suppliers, but that they convert a very, very low they have a very low conversion rate of the suppliers. So we can see that now the buyers are reaching out. They are going out from the US, going and trying to find good suppliers. So definitely it's an opportunity for suppliers, and definitely it's an opportunity for us.
And so what you're doing is kind of matching the needs of the buyers and the suppliers with the help of AI. That's what you're doing.
Yes, because buyers, they don't have the time to spend with the suppliers. They are rushing all the time. So the purpose of our platform is to help them out, to train the suppliers.
Yeah, one of the bigger challenges in that is what is called primary and secondary and tertiary provisions in the field of supply chain. So one of the challenges today in the world of tariffs is not only the direct tariff, let's say from China, 40, 50%, but is the secondary, whereby China today is using Vietnamese companies, Canadian companies, and other companies as a front of the new companies that are going through, without understanding that secondary tariff apply depending on the foreign country of origin. How does your AI know about that?
Actually, we are working on these rules of origin, because this is a little brand new. So we don't have at this point enough data. So we are gathering all the data in order to train it. But yes, we know that is a super trendy topic, because the rules of origin is getting really complicated. And on the other side, that there is a huge opportunity with the rules of origin, because you can avoid tariffs with the rules of origin as well. So definitely this is a very trendy and interesting topic that we are gathering more information about. We need experts, by the way. So if you get to know a lot about that, we definitely need to talk.
And does this work with other countries? Like I put the title of this webinar from Europe to North America, but now I'm wondering, looking at all these members' face, for example, an African supplier can use your platform to go to North America, or is it possible?
Yes.
Is it impossible?
No, it's possible. So we need to, when we were building or coding the platform, we needed to focus in North America because we need to made all these standards. But for the origin of the products might be almost everywhere, but the destination, it's really targeted in North America, because those are the standards and the market intelligence that we have at this point with proprietary data.
Wow. So for example, if I localize your platform into Japanese and throw it in the Japanese market, Japanese people can use your platform to go to the North American market. Is
Absolutely.
that it?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. And
Love it.
actually, we always talk about Latin America and Europe because the team is based in Latin America and Europe. So that's why. So it's because we are closer. But we have one customer in South Africa, and it's a great customer. So definitely, it might be everywhere.
Looks like there's Jim. Do you want to come off mute? Is there a question? Do you want to ask from that you put in the chat?
It really wasn't a question. I was a Macy's buyer when it was Macy's until they started the grid system, and I was what they call second chair at Walmart. The key, I use AI quite a bit. I call it build a buyer, but anyway, those who are under understanding retail in North America and uh, Lourdes is very, very on top of. You've got to do some incredible deep research to even get started. Number one. Number two, I got one thing in there about two things. Slotty fee, yes. All right, but most suppliers don't know that if you are taking somebody's spot on a shelf, you have to buy their inventory to make space on that. All right. So that's cost of goods, margins, and everything else. A good example, Walmart used to have almost 20 tides. Now they carry 5. Those vendors that came in, not counting private label, had to buy Tide's stock because Walmart's not going to accept it. All right. So they have to buy that out, which clearly is going to affect the margins and everything else. And I think step by step, one of the things that most suppliers fail to recognize, going back to what Lord said, is what they call 2-step or 3 steps. You have to know every one of those margins, working retail backwards, where retail's got a margin. Step 2, a distributor's got a margin. Step 3, you may have a 2-step, like when you work with this one, Brady McLean, which is the big distributor for 7-Eleven, all of their convenience stores. All right, that's the 3rd step. All right, so if you don't know that going in, working retail backwards on 2-step and 3-step, you have to know that even before you start making presentations. It affects your own entire supply chain. Just you to understand the margins all the way through to make sure you also can make money.
Absolutely, Jim. Thank you so much for pointing this out because I'm going to share with you something super quick because that is something so essential. It's quite simple and it's so complicated for international companies. They do not understand how to calculate this. And this is something that we have been working with. And I'm going to show you just like super, super quick. Wait a second. Oh, let me see. I don't know where it is. Wait a second. No. Wait, let me find it because I didn't have that open. But that is essential to know and to understand. Like it's very important to do the math backwards.
Yeah, and also, like what Jim can also talk to you in quite depth, having worked at Macy's. We work with Nordstrom clients and Macy's and whatnot, Neiman Marcus. There is a matrix in stores whereby purchasing agent, you have to qualify for the matrix. And then you got to retain your place in the store by achieving a weekly inventory turnover. Anything less than 5 to 7% gets you out. So those are all incredible information that if you don't provide that to the foreign customer, the foreign customers will fail.
Yeah, added to that mess, I call it a grid system. When that first came out, I said, this is not going to work. One of the reasons Macy's is where they're at now, which most people don't realize, at one time, Macy's allowed the locals to buy local stuff. So if you go to a Macy's in Chicago, there's no difference in Miami, there's no difference in Los Angeles. So the foot traffic went down because there was no reason for them to go in there. And
Exactly.
and you can see that I think they're down to 12 on their stock, I mean, or even less. So this is all the stuff going back to suppliers. If you were not, I was working, you have to know if they're going to go bankrupt. You do not want to make all these efforts and find out when Macy goes to 12 to 9, guess who doesn't get paid?
Absolutely, absolutely, and that is a huge pain point for companies. And this is actually super extremely simple, I would say, but this is one of the tools that are more used inside of our platform. So you have your MSRP here. So imagine that it's $10 and your container might hold, I don't know, 30,000. And you can include the BAT, the average retail margin, everything. So you need to go back to the price, your FOB price. And it has like both calculations, the markups and the margins, which is not the same. And many manufacturers confuse them because they think they are the same. And this is a super useful tool. And it's actually, this is very basic. This is not AI. This is just experience in a calculator. That's nothing hidden behind this, but it's really, really important to know about it. And as you mentioned, for example, I want to say something about Dollar General. Dollar General, you need to calculate a huge percentage of overprice because they make so many discounts when you get paid that most of the companies have a very, very big problem because when they quoted, they didn't understand how to quote that. And Dollar General, it's, I think, 16,000 stores. So it's definitely a super big problem. So yes, thank you for pointing this out. It's super important.
You know, one thing, Lourdes, that we've had a couple sessions recently that looking at like AI agents and agentic AI, that's super trendy right now. And I think one thing that we also love discussing in this forum is just how AI is able to complement our lives and enhance our lives. And so I would love to sort of hear your thoughts around this, sort of broad argument about like AI replacing us or, replacing our work. And so I'd love to hear what you think about, the difference between thoughts about AI replacing consultants versus complementing them in regards to your work.
I got one. When these first came out, that was going to be the end of the world also.
Yeah.
It became a tool. AI is a tool. All right. It's not going to be the end of the world, even though I can't think of his name now. The grandfather of AI said in 3 or 4 years, AI is going to be not only as smart, will be smarter than us. And he had a great analogy as how's a human going to handle that, like through the Star Trek thing. He says, here's what he perceives in about 4 or 5 years. He's Harvey, I mean, he's out of the UK, but the analogy was, you have a mother just had a baby. The mother is the AI, all the knowledge, all the experience, everything you need to know about having a baby is in the mom's head. But the mom doesn't control anything. The baby does. The baby gets fed. The baby needs clean. The baby gets a bath. So the baby is controlling the process of the mother, even though the baby has no experience at all. So that would be a negative on AI. I use AI several platforms, but it's like I said, this is a tool also. And AI is going to be a tool. It's not going to change because you want it to change. You just got to get ready for it. I'm done.
Lourdes, what are your thoughts on the topic?
I love your analogy, to be honest, because definitely I think exactly the same. The AI it's an amazing tool. It's going to take a lot of work, the kind of work that we are not super happy to do every day. But at the end, we're humans and we definitely rule the world. Like the ones we execute are us. Like we are the ones executing everything, at least at this point, and it's going to be like that for the next 4 years, as far as I have been reading in the news. So let's wait until 4 years. So if we have another problem, then we can talk about it. But the agent that actually we are filing a patent with some of the agents we are building for the platform. So the agents, it's absolutely fascinating, the potential that of what they can do, because they will be able to recognize your product, to recognize your specifications, to understand scrapping the web, or understanding from the web what is on the market, to help you out choosing which is the right channel, what is the right pricing, and helping you, as you mentioned before, instead of going just to Florida, or instead of trying to sell something that is very focused in Florida into the West Coast, it's going to give you this kind of recommendations and help you out with the logistics and that information, because that is also super interesting, that AI is going to learn from you, is going to learn in your potential, what are you good at and what are you not so good at, and it's going to translate everything so you can understand. And for me, that tool is absolutely amazing. But consultants, people, definitely is not replaceable. And I can see at this point, because at the beginning we were thinking about going to manufacturers directly. And this is a conversation actually that I had with Juka, and it was super insightful from Juka and a friend of hers. And we were talking about Canva. So Canva is an amazing tool, and Canva is great to replace designers, but the CEO of a company is not going to use Canva. He's going to have a designer, and that designer is going to use Canva and get a lot of benefit out of Canva. So it's exactly the same. So we're building something, and we are pretty sure that the consultants, the brokers, or the people dedicated to exports in different companies are going to have a huge benefit out of it, but definitely it won't replace people. That's my perception.
And I agree. And one thing to me that differentiates you and what would give me a lot of confidence is the fact that you are a global citizen and that you've lived in all of these areas. And that to me is priceless knowledge. And I want to throw it to Mohammed. I see your hand raised for a question.
Thank you, Jacob. Thank you very much for this opportunity. My question is, what about global expansion, not only Europe or South America, maybe GCC countries, Middle East, uh, Asia? How would you like to expand? Do you have a plan to, because I am living in Turkey and I see a lot of tools, but unfortunately, not all of them are accessible, or the markets that are not very, how you say, integrated with these countries are aware of. So what is the plan to introduce this services to untapped territories, if I may say? Thank you very much.
Okay. Well, actually, specifically for Turkey, I'm reaching out for people. So maybe we can have a conversation later on, because Turkey has a lot of potential in the US. And I'm pretty sure that you are aware of that, because Turkey is now selling amazing products into different retailers into the US. So, our platform is completely suitable for Turkey, and a Turkish company might completely use it. And also we have some business partners as distributors specifically for Turkish products in the US. So definitely this is now the opposite, going into Turkey, like taking products and going to Turkey and start business there. That is definitely something that we haven't started even thinking about, because I'm pretty sure that Turkey at this point is an exporting country, and the FX and everything is helping a lot, and the quality, all my respect for your quality, is amazing. You have very good companies and very good quality.
Not only the supplier side, also the, how you say, integrator side. buyer side also. Maybe you have an opportunity for the buyers also to get access to some. For example, the manufacturing is from Turkey, but the consumers are, for example, in Iraq. But there's huge supermarkets, hypermarkets, Carrefour now active in Iraq. So there is potential also there. So, but they have a limited access to global offering, global services. So this is also, I think, it will be a good opportunity. Oh, by the way, I'm aware of the opportunities of what the Turkish manufacturers are doing right now. So thank you.
Okay. So I hope your words are like a prophecy. So maybe in 1 year time or so, I can tell you like, hey, you know what? We're now starting to targeting all these new markets, because yes, you are completely right. Also in Europe, there are so many opportunities in Europe as well. But European countries, they have a very specific way of doing business, each country, and the rest of the world as well. So that's the reason why we targeted North America, because of the amount of population. Also, South America, Latin America, we have a lot of information from South and Latin America. We have to put it in place, but well, we need to start little by little. Hopefully 1 year.
One of the shortcomings, Jacob, that you ask a question about the pros and cons of AI, right? One of the shortcomings we found out is that most information in AI today is either collected from public information, predated to maybe last year, and to a small sample of private companies. So the problem that you have is that true innovation in technology and in the world of innovation happens in private companies doing private research, which is not part of AI because it can never be scanned because it's proprietary information. So the question that I have is, for the AI to really become powerful in its application and truthful globally looking into it, we should have the ability to have access to private information in some form. And we don't have that today. For example, if you look at, we have a client right now, they're looking at curing epilepsy from Ireland. And when I look at every single of the 4 top major AIs in terms of information, I mean, my God, the information they have is 5-6 years old. And when you talk to the medical journals and professionals, the internal research, the work that has been done is awesome. There are 19 million people suffering by epilepsy in the country. So it's a very substantial problem. But AI is not there yet. AI is great for general information, for strategic information, for research that takes some time, enormous amount of time, market potential. All those are excellent. But when you're really getting down to the detail, depth, we need the Lourdes, we need the Jacob, we need the Yuka. Just AI can provide it. It's like in class. AI is only as good as the question you can ask. If you ask the wrong question, you get the wrong answer. And the other thing is that really concerns me. AI learns, but AI learns from good habits and bad habits. I'm going to give you a challenge. Ask your AI, whenever it is, give me your answer by 10:30 a.m. Not one AI is able today to provide information based on a time request.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. Wow. I will definitely do that.
Yeah, try it out. Try it out.
And while we're trying, I know Yuka has something that she'd like to share about Lourdes and her work. And what we love about this global community is that we're all looking out for each other and finding ways to support each other's work. So Yuka, I want to quickly toss it to you.
Thank you very much. I don't know if I can show my face or not, and it's repeating. Is it? This is not good. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
So what I wanted to say is that Lourdes got the European funding, and now we are looking into matching. And we are looking for investors. If you're interested in or you know somebody who can invest in this, please let us know. And she's going to Canada and New York City this fall, so please meet her there as well. Thank you very much. My pitch.
Amazing, amazing. So Lourdes, we have a few minutes left, and this has been an incredible event, and I appreciate all of the engagement, especially Jim, Professor Ansis, Mohammed. I appreciate y'all being active participators. And so Lourdes, I'll toss it to you for maybe some closing words.
Okay, so I'm super grateful. I enjoyed so much. I wasn't aware that the time is almost over. So that means I really enjoyed. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. I will be happy to maintain the conversations. Thank you, Yuka, for pointing out that we are raising money. We definitely believe a lot in the solution that we are creating. And yes, we're raising money. We have an LOI from European funds, and we need to match it with another similar quantity. And I'm here. I will be so happy to maintain the conversation, to keep discussing whatever is needed. And I'm here in Barcelona. Welcome to be here, and super happy to belong now to this global chamber. It's definitely a great experience. It's like magic, as Doug was mentioning at the beginning. It's kind of magic.
Speak his name and he'll appear. So Doug, any final words?
Magic. I love it. Thank you very much. Great conversation. The never-ending conversation. It never ends. We never stop learning, and let's continue to learn. Thanks for the magic.
Love it. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Lourdes. Thank you, Yuka, as always. And thank you, everyone, for coming and joining us. We'll see you next month.
Absolutely. Thank
See
you
you
so
next
much to all of
month.
you. Ciao.
Bye, everyone.
Ciao.